Rabbi Friedman. Hello. Thank God it's Tuesday. Missed our programs for a couple of weeks, but I explained that this was for a very, very good reason. You were on a tour with your book, which I absolutely recommend for everybody to acquire. It should be a table book, just a go-to book in case something gets confusing, and a lot gets confusing during our days and our times now. And again, thank you. Thank you for making time for us on this wonderful Tuesday day. And the question that I have is that tyranny is really, really hitting home, especially as of yesterday. And home, I mean New York, when still current Mayor de Blasio has made it mandatory for every New Yorker ages 5 and up to be vaccinated. There's no choice. It's a mandate. And again, I can't say that vaccines are bad or good, but it definitely should be a choice. And it should be definitely, when it comes to children, it's definitely should be a choice that is left up to the parents. And it seems that the freedoms and the choices are being taken away from people. So obviously that would classify as tyranny. And actually, when I like to see how Webster Dictionary usually gives a meaning to the words, and the meaning of tyranny in accordance to Webster Dictionary is cruel and unfair treatment by people with power over others. So the question is, has this always our world been the world of tyranny, or are we just waking up to it now and realizing that it probably was? But that's a question to you, Rabbi Friedman.
So first of all, how was your Hanukkah? Let's not forget the good news in the world.
Hanukkah is always wonderful.
Right.
Every holiday is wonderful.
And that's so important today.
Yeah.
When there's so much confusion, it's so nice to have some things that just don't change. Reliable, predictable, durable.
For sure.
So we need to really stay focused on those things while the world works out its confusion. So yes, there's a serious issue here. Whether you want to call it tyranny or chutzpah, but it is a terrible chutzpah. I'm sure that government has always been manipulating people, but they used to do it respectfully. It's like they gave us credit for having some intelligence. Now we're being treated like we know nothing and we can be convinced of anything. The chutzpah is really offensive. So I don't know what the dictionary says about tyranny, but they should add the word chutzpah. A disrespect for people. So when people are willing to accept tyranny, you get a question like, what is that phenomenon? Why would you be willing? Why are you not offended? Do you need a comforting, strong hand to protect you from your own wildness and craziness? I don't know. But it is disappointing. Human beings should have a little more dignity than that.
Rabbi Friedman, I have to say that when I researched tyranny and how it is presented, when you Google it, came across something really, really cute. So there are apparently quotes from known people, let's call them the influencers of the world, about tyranny. And here's one from Bill Clinton. The road to tyranny, we must never forget, begins with the destruction of the truth. I got a good laugh out of that one.
That is so profound.
Especially who it's coming from.
Yeah.
So tyranny seems to be a lot of things. And obviously, we've seen a lot of tyranny. I mean, we just went through a wonderful holiday of Hanukkah, which is a perfect example of tyranny. It's a tyranny where Greeks were tyrants over the Jews. You have to play by our rules, or you can't really exist otherwise. Those are our rules, and you must abide. Yet we just celebrated a holiday that showed full victory over such treatment. So of course, this brings me to the question. Now, this tyranny is not just against anyone in particular. It seems to be everywhere, in every country, in every walk of life. And the question is, how do we fight tyranny? During the times of the Greeks, it was a very small amount of people who fought and won, and great. But now we see so much is happening, so much evil is coming out, accelerating, and of course we see tyranny in absolutely everything. So how do we fight it? What is the antidote?
Well, first, the good news is these 2 weeks that I've been traveling from coast to coast, I have seen evidence, convincing evidence, that because of this craziness in the last 2 years, people have become much finer people. We talked about this many times, that the COVID is bringing out the goodness, the wisdom, the maturity, and it's true everywhere in the world. And everybody is saying it now. It also produced a certain kind of wealth. People have more money to spend. People are generous. People are financially doing very well. Surprise, surprise.
What do we attribute that to, that people are doing better financially?
I have no idea.
I mean, we have inflation, we have unemployment, and obviously we have lockdowns, and yet you're saying that people are doing better financially.
It is surprising and against all predictions. But going from Chabad house to Chabad house, they've never had such donations. They've never had such generosity. People are throwing money at them. So it has been very, very good, despite all the headlines and the fake news and all that stuff. And it's just going to keep getting better. So we shouldn't, don't give up now. We're doing good. We're doing good. And in 3 or 4 months from now, it's going to get much better.
I'd like to get a lot more clarity on this aspect right here. I'm not going to let it go, Rabbi Friedman. Please let us know, what are we up for in 3 to 4 months?
I think we're reaching the tipping point where the craziness has reached an unbearable and intolerable level, and there's going to be a backlash. So the confusion is going to become even more intense, but it's going to sort itself out. So let's not, we've done well until now. Let's not give up now when we're on the brink of success. But let's go back to Hanukkah for a moment. There were 2 things that happened in Hanukkah. There was the physical battle, a huge army against a handful of guerrilla fighters. And miraculously, the handful were able to physically, militarily defeat the great armies. And we thank God for that every day of Hanukkah. in the prayers. But how do we celebrate Hanukkah? By lighting a menorah. And that has nothing to do with the battle. It has nothing to do with military might or success. It has to do with finding a better oil that miraculously lasted 8 days. So what are these two dimensions here? One is military, physical, the physical survival and well-being of Israel. The other is much more personal and much more intimate in our relationship with God. To put it bluntly, finding that sealed, uncontaminated cruse of oil literally means we discovered that our innocence was still intact. Because part of the assault of the Assyrians, the Hellenists, was a philosophical one. They weren't out to kill Jews. They were not genocidal. They were also not out to prevent religion, to crush religious observance. They offered a philosophy. They said, of course, you should practice your religion. Everyone should practice their religion because it's culturally productive, it's good for society, it keeps people together, it gives you a context in which to live and function. It's all very good. But can you stop with this God business?
Okay.
Do it because it's a rational, sensible, and productive thing to do. Why do you have to mystify it? Why do you have to make it, otherworldly? It's fine. Get rid of the irrational parts. That's called contaminated oil. Oil is what you put in the menorah to light up your life. What's going to light up your life? The Greeks, the Hellenists said, rationale. If you use your intelligence, you behave rationally, you do things that are logical, you got your life under control, everything makes sense. That's the light of your life. But for some reason, the Jews at that time, or at least some of the Jews at that time, would not accept that. Not good enough. So they went looking until they found some oil that had not been contaminated. With this, they lit the menorah, and it lasted for 8 days when it shouldn't even have lasted for one. The point of it is, in our relationship with God, we can approach it very rationally, which means I can even believe in God for rational reasons. That is not the light that we're looking for. Just like in a marriage, the light of a marriage is not a rational, practical, useful arrangement. There's something much more beautiful and much deeper than that. The rational is impressive, but it's not what makes a relationship. So if you're just thinking about making the most of your life, yeah, practical is good. Rational is good. But if you're talking relationship, the rational is not going to make it happen. In fact, I was counseling this couple, and he kept saying, but I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. And the wife finally said, You want to make sense or you want to be married? Now, at first it sounded like a threat. Stop badgering me about making sense or this marriage is going to be over. But that's not what she meant. She meant you want to have a rational relationship like good roommates, or you want to be married?
Thank you. Thank you.
If you want to be married, you need to go a little higher and deeper than rational. And that is the innocence. The innocent, artless, sincere commitment to another person. That's our innocence. What the Hellenists tried to do is corrupt that innocence. Don't just be nice for nice sake. Have a reason. That's a loss of innocence. That's a scheme. When you start scheming, the relationship is over. So we're celebrating the military victory, which we mention in the prayers, but we don't actually make a big deal about it. Primarily because we have other holidays that celebrate that. Purim celebrates our survival. Passover celebrates our freedom, physical. So our physical well-being is covered by other holidays. What's unique about Hanukkah is not the threat to our existence, but the threat to our innocence. And the miracle of finding that innocence when we thought we had been compromised or damaged, that's the miracle of the human capacity. If you think that the best we can do is be rational, you're cheating yourself out of something very, very valuable, more impressive than our great intelligence, which is great. But we have something even greater. And that is the antidote to narcissism, which is the curse of this generation. Narcissism is anything but innocent. And it all begins, if we have to trace it down, it all begins with the belief that religion has inflicted on us, the belief that God, in his perfection, needs nobody. And we all strive to be like God, so we're all trying to not need anybody, because then we would be perfect. So anybody who believes that not needing anybody makes you perfect, that's a narcissist. It's just me to the exclusion of everybody else. Well, isn't that what God is? So when we're taught that that is what God is, we're actually breeding narcissism. So what is God? He's been accused of narcissism. You create the whole world just because you're in the mood? You create the whole world for your entertainment? You play these games with us, challenging us. Here's free choice. If you mess up, I'm going to punish you. Sounds really nasty. But of course, the truth is, God creates the world because of his vulnerability. Divine vulnerability. And that consists of the feeling or the attitude or just the fact. Me alone, for myself, by myself, not good. That's what motivated God to create the world. So did he create the world to use us? No. He creates the world because without us, he is not complete. How's that for a change? Without us, he is perfect, but that's not good. With us, he's good. So we're not being used, we are needed. If we could just convince a few people to change their attitude towards God and vulnerability and narcissism, it can change everything.
Rabbi Friedman, actually, that is something people like to argue with you a lot about, the fact that you say that God needs us because he's so almighty and there's nothing. He's so perfect. He's so almighty. He needs no one and nothing. And this is exactly what we're talking about. And this is something that people criticize you sometimes for, crazy people, in my opinion.
It's a very controversial thing to say. But look at the definition of perfect. Yes, God is perfect. Well, if he's perfect, he don't need you. That's what perfect means? Hardly. If I didn't need anybody, would that make me perfect or irrelevant or a monster? You know, the popular song, people who need people are the luckiest people.
Yes.
There's just one condition. You need people, not their service. You don't need a cleaning woman. That's not needing the person. That's just needing the service. If you need people, or if you need a person, you are more than perfect. You're lovable. You're relatable. You're reachable. But if you're invulnerable, you might as well not exist with all the perfection. So God felt, I am absolutely perfect, and I might as well not exist. So if God is not vulnerable, then we're all in big trouble. If God doesn't need us, then we cannot justify our own existence, and that's painful. And also, how do you get around the simple question? God was always perfect, eternally perfect, and then decides to create a world? And he doesn't need anything? Come on. Who creates a whole universe for no reason? On the contrary, for someone that perfect, that absolute, to create a world, the need to do that must be so intense, so awesome, as infinite as him, as eternal as him, as powerful as him. In fact, it's just him. He needed this universe, and so he created it. Not the universe needed him.
Rabbi Friedman, I have to, for sure. Rabbi Friedman, I have to say that when I heard that the first time, obviously from one of your lectures on YouTube, that definitely changed my relationship with God, because God became a lot closer and a lot more personal. So I am very, very grateful to you for that type of thinking, for that which I have never heard from anybody else but you. So I thank you, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people. So, but But I would like to do is backtrack a little bit to the tyranny aspect and for the world disorder that we're living in at the moment, and your statement that things should start changing in about 3 to 4 months based on the. I said I wasn't going to let it go.
Exactly. In the afternoon.
I mean, it's great. If God willing, it happens. I don't know. We all need to be hopeful, regardless. Hoping that it'll happen. Next week, maybe even better. But the question is, and I think it's the question in everybody's mind. Looking at things right now, we can't even fathom to understand how it can possibly happen. I mean, how will the world start changing? Who is going to be changing it? The military, the I don't know, the observant people, the people in general. I mean, where is the change going to come from? Because right now, everybody is like, yeah, we understand everything is crappy and we want change, but how is that change going to come about?
Well, you could describe the change that is coming as a little miraculous, hard to imagine. But look at the other side of the equation. Look how unimaginable this insanity is. So if we should regain our sanity, it's a smaller miracle than the miracle of our craziness. So, what's more reliable? That the insanity will continue, or that we will eventually put our foot down and say, okay, enough. Who's going to do it? Stand by for surprises. It'll come from the most unexpected source. And I have a feeling it's going to be one tiny little incident that would usually be ignored, but this is going to tilt. It's that final straw. And the final straw is never impressive. It's just one more straw. So it's not going to be some very impressive mass movement. It's going to be one mistake that they make that's going to be just too much for the people, and it will undo all the craziness. So it was like communism. People were saying, communism, it's indestructible. No one can stand up to them. No one can challenge it. On the other hand, it was such a big lie, and it was so empty and devoid of any truth and meaning. How does it go on even for another day? So when it collapsed, was that a miracle? Or was it a miracle that it lasted 70 years?
Yeah.
So which is more believable? It's more believable that it's going to stop. Because how crazy can crazy be?
It seems that, just a little while back, people were trying to get to the truth, and now they're having too much of the truth. It's just, is how much truth can the world handle at this point? And I think this is the next question that people are saying, not what, but how are we going to be fixing this, and is it fixable?
And when?
Well, that we've been asking for a long time. Haven't really had a quick answer. I'm glad you're saying what you're saying, Rabbi Friedman, because everyone is, no one ever knows.
Yeah, but people are not asking if; they're just asking when. So we're pretty comfortable and confident that it's going to end. Today, tomorrow, the day after, but it's going to end. We're quite certain about that. Everybody is. Well, most everybody. If you just don't read the headlines and stop debating the headlines and making yourself miserable, there's no question that it's going to get better. How and when, those are the only questions. What should we do? Just don't be part of it. Don't be part of the craziness. which means focus on what we know for sure. Where are the old, reliable beliefs and truths and wisdom? Don't come up with a new theory, thank you very much. We've had enough of those. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just tell me what is true, what has always been true. Is male still male and female is still a female? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Is a Jew still a Jew? Okay. Is God still the creator of the world? The Jews practice Torah? Okay. We got enough to live on.
Rabbi Friedman, I actually really want to share with our audience. My husband and I, we do participate in your Wednesday evening interactive Torah class, and it was absolutely amazing. And the evolution is amazing of who participates in those classes, where those people are from, the experiences that they share. And just the last class really blew us away because, first of all, 50% of all, at least 50%, I haven't really counted, are not Jewish people. There are people from all over the world who some get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to listen to your lectures, to listen to your classes. And some people, like this one man from New Guinea, and he walked like 60 kilometers one way to find internet to listen to your class and then to pass, as he said, the knowledge from your class to his family and his village to the best of his ability, because he understands that, you know, we're all limited in how we are understanding God's will. And thank God for you that you're explaining it to us. Not that we understand it fully, but anyway, that effort, and it's not the only few examples. It's just I see how the evolution is happening, and it's absolutely amazing and miraculous, because 6 months ago, 1 year ago, none of that was happening.
I was blown away by that guy. His name is Sione from New Guinea. 8 hours he walks. And the people, if you remember in the conversation afterwards, the other people online who were also humbled by him offered to buy him a bicycle. He said, but the roads there are impossible. You can't even ride a bicycle. So it's not just 8 hours of walking. It's uncomfortable, difficult to navigate. The jungle roads. Can't even use a bicycle. I don't know what he could use. Yeah. So he has to stop. Can't walk for 8 hours without a break. He actually sleeps overnight someplace along the way. And then he comes back to his village and shares what he learned. I mean, this is so humbling. These people are so sincere, so beautifully innocent. Really amazing.
I think we're finding that unopened oil, that pure oil through, and I think this is actually giving us a little bit of an insight of where the world is going, and hopefully in 3 to 4 months, as you say, this is what's going to happen to absolutely every single person in the world, and we'll finally get to the really, really good place that we were meant to be in. Rabbi Friedman, you're giving a lot of people a lot of hope and a lot of really good insights and information, and on behalf of everybody, I thank you for it very much.
So let's remember what we're experiencing now, so we can compare to what's going to happen, let's say, February.
February. I'm going to start crossing off the days.
We'll compare. We'll see.
Rabbi Friedman, amazing. Thank you so much. It's just incredible to have you inspired the world so much with everything that you do, and everything. It's just that light and that hope that we need in these dark days. And I got to be honest, it's getting a little bit scarier every day if you read the news, if you kind of follow it. And, I'm also trying to do less and less of that. Hopefully everybody else is too, because it's not constructive anymore or informative for that matter. So, but we're media, so we don't have a choice.
Let's use New York as an example.
Yeah.
The mayor knows how unpopular he is. He must. And then he comes out and makes these new mandates. This is politically suicidal. What is he doing? It's like he's possessed by some demon that's making him act crazy. What is he doing? You'd think he would try to win back a few votes, like make a few friends. And he goes ahead and does that. This is completely irrational. This is the evil has lost its mind. So it's going to go down hard.
Well, hopefully,
hard, fast.
Hopefully, the next mayor is going to revert the mandates.
It's not the mayor. It's the times.
Okay.
There's an insanity in the world, not in one person. It shows up in various places, but it's not replacing a mayor is not the solution. We got to replace insanity with sanity so that a mayor can be sane.
Rabbi Friedman, I'm into that. Thank you so much. It's always extremely sad when we have to say goodbye. I look forward to this time of the week every day, and I'm sure as a lot of people are. And thank you again for that light and that hope and that information that you give us, and that smile.
We've had a great Hanukkah. Now stand by for Purim. It's going to be awesome.
Well, looking forward to it. Absolutely. Again, thank you very much for your time.